Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another live stream. We have a lot of things to talk about. Let me know if the audio and the video are good. We're going to jump into Bitcoin first, then we'll go over some of the latest news. We'll talk about the US economy a little bit. I don't want to bore you too much with that stuff, but it is important to cover. And of course, we'll go through some of the altcoins that we cover here on YouTube and on Patreon. And I'll probably do a more detailed video about the US economy and the latest updates on Patreon, but we'll just do a quick overview here. So we're on CoinMarketCap, and as you can see, Bitcoin did break through all-time high, and I think it got to $126,000. We're going to quickly check the price in a second, but just a quick overview of the market. The altcoin season index is sitting at 40. It depends on which website you're using. For example, if I go to altcoin season index on CoinGlass, it's going to be a little bit different here. We're sitting at 43, but it's around 40. So that's the takeaway here. That's the CoinMarketCap 100 index. I don't really care about that one, to be honest, but this is the total crypto market cap. If we go to the all-time, as you can see, we've just broken all-time high market cap valuation of the entire market. So this is including Bitcoin and all of the altcoins. And we're sitting at $253.75 billion of volume. And yeah, this is crazy. So over the past 30 days, we just broke the high from December 2024. Of course, we'll have to talk about XRP because that has been doing pretty well. Cliche, hey there, my friend. How are you doing? These are the crypto ETFs net flow. Over the past 30 days, we have $1.1 billion of inflows, and that is really good. And this is the Bitcoin dominance. We'll take a look at the chart as well, but here is a quick rundown. 60.9% is allocated to Bitcoin, 11.2% to Ethereum, which also started pumping, and we have 27.9% for everything else outside Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let me quickly double check my stream. I think it should be working good, but I just want to make sure that it is. So I'll go over to my phone. Yeah, it should be good. Okay, let's switch over to Bitcoin. Okay, so we're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna take this chart here. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. This is the weekly chart, and we take a look at this every single time we do a live stream because this is a really good chart, and we are in a channel up pattern. And if you're looking at another touch of the upper side or the upper resistance here, you're going to be looking at, let's see. So you're going to be looking at roughly $250,000. If actually it might be a little bit more than that. Let's say we peak in September 2025, that's almost going to be a $260,000 to $290,000 Bitcoin. And full disclosure, I don't think that is going to happen. If it does, great, but I'm not waiting until those huge numbers because it's going to be a huge risk. If you're holding altcoins and you're waiting until the very last second to dump your bags, you're taking a huge risk. So another thing that happened is the 1.414 Fibonacci was tested, and we broke through it, and right now we're trying to hold it as support. So that was $116,500 roughly, and this was, this took a little while because first we broke through the all-time high, had a massive move to the upside, broke past the 1.272, had a retracement, and from there now you could have taken or secured some profits at $116,000 if you were looking to do that. We can also apply another Fibonacci here from the bottom of the move in April 2025 to the top in December, or January 2025. We're looking at $137,000 per coin. That is the 1.618. And the second fib level here aligns with the 1.618 of the larger fib. So there's confluence at around $155,000. We've spoken about that price for probably 3 years at this point. We've talked about that all-time high for Bitcoin at $155,000. So Bitcoin is doing great. If you were buying throughout the bear market, you can start selling. If you already started after Bitcoin hit 100K, good for you. Maybe you want to reallocate some of that money into altcoins, but if you don't plan on selling your Bitcoin, I don't blame you. However, if you're holding altcoins and you're planning to hold throughout the next bear market, that's a very bad idea because altcoins crash 90 to 99% during a bear market. So always keep that in mind. Okay, so let's get rid of these here. Okay, so this is the weekly RSI, and Bitcoin is not even in the overbought yet. So Bitcoin is not in the overbought on the weekly. Let's quickly take a look at the monthly. Yeah, so the monthly chart is showing us overbought. However, if we remove all the drawings, you can see that the previous peaks occurred when the RSI was above the level of 90. So at the moment, we're only sitting at 72, 73. So it's not a big deal at the moment. But by the end of the year, once you start getting to those higher numbers on the RSI, you should probably start thinking about selling either your altcoins or your Bitcoin. Okay, and this is the monthly chart. In case we have a crash, let's say another war, God forbid, breaks out, you're looking at a potential crash down to the 20 EMA on the monthly chart. That's at $80,000. We've retested the 20 EMA. The last time we actually touched it was back in October 2023, but then we almost barely grazed it here in August 2024. And with the most recent correction in April, we came down close to it, but not quite. So expect that type of correction if we have a black swan event, which can happen at any time. That's why it's called a black swan, because it's unexpected. So let me know, what is your Bitcoin target for the end of the bull market? It'll be interesting to see your price predictions, but I'm sticking with 155,000 I have for a very long time. So I don't think, unless the data shows me something, or some on-chain data shows me or gives me confluence that Bitcoin will be going higher, then of course, I will adjust my targets. Okay, let's quickly go through the latest updates on the US economy. The next FOMC meeting is happening July 30th, and we have a 95.3% chance of a no change. So they will keep the interest rates as they are. And if we go to the expectation for the September meeting, we have a 58% chance of a 25 basis points cut. Keep in mind, these numbers change all the time. And I think for July, it's pretty, we're pretty certain that we are going to be getting a no change. But for September, we still have 3 meetings after this July one. So they might go for 3 cuts in September, October, and December 2025. Now, there's lots of shenanigans happening with Jerome Powell and Donald Trump. We'll see if Jerome gets pushed out of his position, and then Trump can put one of his people as the chairman of the Federal Reserve that will do Trump's bidding, i.e., cutting rates and incentivizing the economy. If we go to the October meeting, we're looking at 48.8% of a cut and 29.9% of a cut, down to 3.75 to 4.0 points. So this, of course, some of the people expecting the cut, some of the investors that are expecting the cut in September are expecting another cut here in October. And then if we go to the December one, it's likely that we're going to be sitting at 3.75 to 4%. Again, this is going to change drastically depending on what Jerome Powell says, depending on some massive global events, and depending on the US foreign policies, or at least some of them, because they can affect inflation. That directly affects the Fed's decision-making process. Now, if we go to the inflation report, we just got our latest inflation report on July 15th, and the inflation was 2.7%. That was a 0.3% higher than the inflation for May. So inflation did go up, and this is what Jerome Powell was talking about. He was saying that inflation can start going up once the tariffs come into play, and so far, that has played out, even though Trump is saying that inflation has been going down. But again, the the numbers according to the US government are saying otherwise. Now, the forecast was 2.6%, and we actually went a bit higher than that. And seeing Bitcoin pumping while something like this is happening, right? Because this could be perceived as a hawkish event because, the inflation was higher than expected and it's rising. You'd expect some of the, you'd expect Bitcoin to be going down, but it's doing the opposite, okay? So that's the inflation report for June. This, of course, shows us that inflation is rising. People aren't able to pay for their rent, for food. It's getting very hard out there. And if Jerome Powell starts cutting rates, we might have a bit of ease in the economy. But again, this whole thing is a melting pot. You can't stop the eventual breakdown. You can only slow down this process of hyperinflation and economy destabilization because of because of all the printing and spending that the government is doing. But that's a different topic for a different time. Now we are going to be getting the GDP, or sorry, this is the unemployment rate. So we got our unemployment numbers at the beginning of July. So that was July 3rd, and the actual unemployment rate was 4.1%, which was 0.1% lower than the previous one. The forecast was 4.2%, but the numbers came in better than expected, which is a good thing. But of course, all of these numbers, I don't consider them to be true. There's lots of fake job postings, and there's lots of manipulation to forge the numbers into whatever the big boys want them to seem like, and that's very obvious. So unemployment is doing okay, I guess, according to the US government. Now, if we go to the GDP numbers, we're going to be getting our GDP report in at the end of July, actually, July 30th, which is the exact same date of the FOMC meeting. So the end of July should be, action-packed. We'll see how this affects Bitcoin and the markets. The forecast is 3.5%, okay, of growth in Q2 of 2025. We'll see what happens. But as of right now, we did get the first, so the numbers, 4, minus 0.5% growth for the Q1 in 2025, which again, that happened because of the tariffs. So lots of companies started importing their goods. That affects the calculation of the GDP growth. And because of that, the numbers came in so low, the GDP numbers. So we'll see if that will affect the numbers this time around. It should be more stable, and we are potentially looking at 3.5%. That is, that's the expectation here. That's the forecast. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for the US news. Let's switch over to some Twitter posts here for some quick news breakdown. So President Trump signs the Genius Act, and this, of course, is a law that will create a infrastructure for stablecoins. So President Trump signs the Genius Act into law, establishing the first federal framework for US dollar-pegged stablecoins. The law mandates issuer licensing, reserve requirements, audits, and consumer protections. And this is, of course, what a lot of people were waiting for. A lot of institutions were waiting for this. They were sitting on the sidelines until there's clear-cut regulation on stablecoins and crypto. That's exactly what Trump's administration is trying to do. Also, I think Trump is going to change legally the term used for football from soccer to football. So I think that's one of the other two good things that he's done is signing this new act, and then of course changing soccer to football, which, I don't call football soccer. I know they do that here in the West, but it is football, guys. You play it with your feet. Okay, it's not like American handball where you use your hands to play with a ball. All right, next up we have the U.S. Director of Federal Housing, and he's saying there may be a criminal referral coming from Congress to the DOJ for Jerome Powell. There are also rumors that Jerome Powell was looking to go away on his own, right? He was looking to retire from the position of chairman. I think his term is supposed to end in May 2026, if I'm not mistaken. And Trump is already eyeballing some people, one of them being Scott Bessent. And obviously, the next chairman, I think it's clear to everyone that the next chairman will be someone from Trump's team, and he'll be doing Trump's bidding. And that can be beneficial to us here in the crypto markets for at least the short to midterm, because if we start getting the rates cut down, if they do big rate cuts, right? If they do a whole 1% cut, that will have a massive effect on the market and money will start flooding. So MEI Pharma raises $100 million to launch a Litecoin treasury strategy, becoming the first publicly traded company to hold Litecoin. So I think this is one of the first steps that institutions and companies are going to be taking towards Litecoin. This may become a good asset, a good reserve asset. So if you're looking for a safe, high cap altcoin, maybe look into Litecoin. Let's see what the market cap is for Litecoin at the moment. So $7.7 billion, $100 per token. It is an old coin, obviously. This is a super old coin. Lots of people are not expecting any new all-time highs this cycle. Personally, I'm not expecting $400. Even though anything's possible. Of course, we can't know the future exactly, but as of right now, there's no catalysts that will take Litecoin up to those $400 values. Now, if more companies join in and start adopting Litecoin and start opening treasuries with Litecoin or Litecoin treasuries, this could obviously ramp up the demand for Litecoin, but that hasn't happened yet. So we'll see what happens with Litecoin, but definitely a good, safe, high cap altcoin to hold as part of diversification. Now, this coming from Bitcoin Magazine, President Trump is preparing to open the $9 trillion US retirement market to Bitcoin and crypto investments, Financial Times. So he's preparing executive order to allow 401k plans to tap broad pool of alternative assets, and this will obviously create more demand for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, at least for some of the high cap altcoins as well. So definitely a positive thing. And let's see what else we have here. Okay, so this is coming from Bitcoin Magazine Pro. We're now seeing the supply of Bitcoin held by short-term holders once again begin increasing, indicating new market participants are once again accumulating Bitcoin. Is this the start of retail FOMO? So here we see, this is the short-term holders of Bitcoin, or short-term rentals of Bitcoin, because obviously they're going to dump the minute we have a retracement or a correction. But this is a good sign, and all of the on-chain indicators are not pointing towards a top at the moment. Like even if we look at something like the MVRV Z-score, you can see that we haven't reached the sort of levels we have in the previous cycles when we were close to the top. So all of the on-chain indicators are not pointing towards necessarily an end of this cycle yet, and this is one of those things. So we need more demand from retail. So once retail FOMO returns, we'll see people making a bit of money and then switching over from Bitcoin to high caps, to mid caps, and so on and so forth, and down to the super low, dirty low cap coins. So the $10 trillion Charles Schwab CEO says they will launch Bitcoin trading sometime soon and will be competing with Coinbase. Coinbase obviously being the #1 crypto exchange in the United States. Again, this is big news, massive news for Bitcoin holders, more demand and more adoption. I don't know if we'll have a 60% crash for Bitcoin, to be honest. And again, I say that, but there's always a crash. There's always a bear market. So we will have a bear market. We will have a Bitcoin crash of at least 50%. At the very least, a 50% crash. So once you see Bitcoin below 100K, let's say in a year or two, we're sitting at $60,000 to $70,000. That will be probably your last opportunity to grab a full Bitcoin below 100K. Because I think by the end of the next cycle in 4 years, Bitcoin is going to be sitting at much, much, much higher prices. So consider that. And yeah, if you want to buy Bitcoin below 100K, the next bear market is going to be your time to do that. And I think this is going to be our last piece of news here. Okay, let's switch over to our altcoins. I want to go through some of these because some of them have started pumping. Some of them have been doing great. And one of these coins being Ethereum. So the reason why everyone is expecting Ethereum to do well is because Ethereum is what is going to drag the altcoins into an alt season. So unless Ethereum breaks all-time high prices, which is going to be above $4,000, almost $5,000, we're not going to see a proper altcoin season. Okay. So I had this block for you between $2,349 to $2,000. We dipped into that area here in June briefly. And then from there, we started pumping. So we touched this perfect support level at 2,200, and now we're up 70%. And this is really good. This is really good. We might run into resistance here at 4,000 like we did the previous 3 times. So we had a touch back in March last year, May 2024, and then December 2024. Every single time ended up with a correction. So this correction was not as big. So this was a 31% correction. Then the second time in May, after the touch, we got a 46% correction. And then after the third touch in December, we had a 65% correction. And that was a pretty hefty correction there. So what if we hit 4,000 and we have an even bigger correction, 73% correction, taking us to $1,000? I don't think that's on the table. I think worst case scenario, we will dip back down to $2,000 or maybe a little bit lower than that if we have a bear market crash, or rather if we have a black swan crash. But other than that, the markets are looking healthy for a recovery. Q4 is usually the best quarter of the year in terms of markets. So the markets are supposed to be bullish in Q4. We're probably going to see the Bitcoin high sometime in Q4, and altcoins are going to be printing their all-time highs randomly. So some altcoins may print their all-time highs in the next few weeks. Some of them may do that in September, in December, or maybe even in January next year. So it all depends. But I think if we are able to break through $4,000, then altcoins will start going crazy. Okay, we're just waiting for Ethereum to do its thing here. The target for Ethereum, if we use this fractal, so the low that we just had in April and the local high from March 2024, we're looking at $8,000 per coin. I don't think we're going to $8,000, to be honest. I would be a little more conservative and I would stick to 6.4 thousand, which is the 1.414, and you have 5,500 here at the 1.272. So those are your 3 targets for this bull market. We do have a few other targets based on the larger fib. So we have 5,000, or actually that's not the one. So we have 6,000, 6.9 thousand and 8,500. But I think those are a bit too high. Again, we don't know what's going to happen, but based off of what we're seeing with this Fibonacci and based on how Ethereum has been performing, I can't tell you we're going to be looking at $8,000. But again, anything can happen, guys. I'm not telling you to sell at a certain price. I'm simply giving you my expectations from the markets. And the weekly RSI for Ethereum is on the rise here. So we're still doing pretty good. Let's switch to the monthly. Yeah, look at the monthly RSI. We're still very low. We're still very low. So Ethereum is doing good. We have to see a break of $4,000, and I think the rest will play out very well after that. That's what altcoins are waiting for. And if you have any altcoins you want me to take a look at, definitely let me know. Saddam brother, can you chart syrup? Thanks. We're definitely going to take a look at syrup. Alaikum salam. Okay. What are your thoughts on the bridge? I was thinking about buying some on Kraken, but it's not available. It should be available on that exchange, but I don't see it. So I did hold the bridge for a little while, but I ended up selling to buy into some more bullish assets. Even though I think D-Bridge it's a DeFi coin on Solana. Okay, so I think I know what the issue is here with D-Bridge for you. So if you go to exchanges here on CoinMarketCap and you go to centralized exchanges, you see you have a pair here on Kraken, but it's not against the USDT, the Tether dollar, it's against the USD, the US dollar. Okay, so you cannot trade D-Bridge against USDT, you have to trade it against the US dollar. So you actually have to deposit US dollars into your Kraken account, and you have to buy DBR with your US dollars, not with Tether. Okay, that's what seems to be the issue here. Or you can do euros as well. There is euros. I don't know where you're located. If you're in Europe, then of course USDT is no longer available there. But super low market cap, $38 million. The circulating supply is, actually, I don't know if that's the accurate circulating supply. Always verify with cryptorank.io. Okay, so we have almost 3 billion tokens in circulation. So around 30% of the total supply is out in circulation. $60.4 million market cap. So it is still considered a low cap. But I would definitely focus more on AI coins and deepen coins and RWA coins. Let's chart syrup. Okay, I have to switch here. Did you guys end up taking profits on your Pi? Did anyone get any Pi coins? Okay, so let's do syrup against the USDT. Is this like a brand new coin? If this is a brand new coin, then it's, it's not going to be possible to do any. Oh, it's Maple Finance. Okay. Maple Finance got listed on Binance. That's really good. I remember looking at this when it was below $100 million, but I didn't end up buying it because it deals with lending and borrowing and interest. So I just avoided that. But I initially saw this from Chico Crypto. $3.13 billion under management. Now, essentially, most of the revenue this project generates is due to interest. So that's why I didn't end up buying. But it seems that, a Binance listing is a huge step forward for the team. So I think they'll be doing great. I would probably say D-Bridge is a little bit better because it has more profit potential. But if you're looking for something that is below $1 billion market cap, you can definitely look at Maple Finance. And it's already listed on Coinbase, so that's really good. Let's try to chart it as well. Okay, I think this should be the all-time chart. It's not. Maple Finance. Let's try to get, where would it be listed first, or where was it listed? I would say MEXC is probably one of the older listings they have. Okay, so I think this is as much as we're going to be able to do here. Okay. So our local bottom over here at 9 cents or so. %38 correction. I mean, this is a decent time to start dollar cost averaging into Maple. We're retesting this previous low. So as long as we're able to hold the low, we should be good for continuation. You can also take a look at this previous area here. So these two support blocks is where I would expect the price to stay if we either saw more. If we're going to see consolidation, then it's going to be within this range around 43 cents. If we're going to drop even further down, then I would say it's going to be towards 33 cents. Now, from this bottom in April 2025, we went up 674%. So that's a pretty decent move to the upside, to say the least. So a 38% correction is nothing compared to what you just saw, okay? And let's say you bought in here in April, even right now, you're up 361%. So if you want to take out your initial investment, I would say that's a smart thing to do. And feel free to take a look at our Patreon. The link is down below in the description if you want to get 7 days free access to all of the content that's already there. I think we have more than 1,000 posts. Something that I did mention on Patreon is silver. So when silver was sitting here at 36 or so a few weeks ago, we made a video on silver and the rising demand for silver. If you want to take a look at that video, it's on my Patreon. We explained why silver is in demand, why the demand will be rising, and what I would be doing and where I would be looking to buy silver. So I would say right now this is a good time to be buying silver. I know it's, on a bit of a rally here, but I would not be surprised if silver is going to get to triple digits in the next 5 years. So this is a safe investment. You can also do gold, obviously, but I think silver is going to be doing great. So feel free to check out our Patreon to see what's going on with that. Okay, Velodrome is pumping a little bit. SBR. Let's take a look at Ondo. Ondo was listed on Binance just a few months ago, I believe. And this is the #1 RWA coin, in my opinion, the safest. It's a high cap, $3.1 billion market cap coin, but it's already listed on all the top exchanges, and Alex Becker is buying it, and BlackRock is involved. So if you go to their website and you go to backers and investors, so this is the Ondo ecosystem, and BlackRock obviously is #1 here. So this goes to show that this is a serious project and they're not going to go down easily, and they have big money backing them. So tokenization is obviously the future, and Larry Fink is pushing for asset tokenization ASAP. And I think RWA is going to be the biggest narrative in the next bull market. I've said that a lot of times. I still stick by that. I think AI is going to be this cycle, is going to be, the biggest narrative this cycle. But for the next cycle, I think RWA is probably going to be 10 times bigger, because the RWA market cap at the moment is, let's see, it doesn't give us the market cap for RWA. No market cap. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with CoinMarketCap, but let's see. I think it's around $70 billion or so, last time I checked. Around $70 billion. So I think this could easily get to, multiple $100 billion. $700 billion market cap in 5 years. I think that's conservative for RWA. Now, that does not mean that you have to be holding your RWA altcoins throughout the bear market, okay? That's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying during the bear market, you might want to focus on RWA coins, because the next cycle is going to be fruitful for that specific category. Of course, AI will still be big. AI is a growing narrative as well. Next up, let's take a look at XRP, because this obviously, and yeah, just to give a quick breakdown for Ondo, still great buying price in my opinion. We're quite far from the all-time high, but I think we will be breaking the all-time high, okay? We retraced back to the 786 here at 68.5 cents. What we can do now is apply a new Fibonacci retracement from the bottom there to the top. Okay, we're using the bodies of the candles. We're not using the wicks. So 67 cents down here, and then $2.06 in December 2024. We're looking at $4 as our 1.618 target. So that's a 4x from the current prices. That will take the Ondo market cap to 12 billion, which is not a lot. I could easily see this doing $20 to $30 billion. We can go to the coin perspective, and we can see what the potential market cap and the price of Ondo would be. So let's say we get to, so $4 would be $12 billion market cap. Okay, let's do $24. That's a $75 billion market cap. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Actually, $4 would be 12 billion, and then $12 would be 38 billion. That's an 11x from the current valuation. That's not out of the realm of possibilities, to be honest with you. $38 billion market cap is not a lot. But of course, I would say manage your expectations. Always take profits if you're doing massive gains. Make sure to pay yourself. And make sure when you think the market is close to getting overheated, make sure to start taking profits, because you do not want to get left hanging with your bags. Tau is a great altcoin that I recommend everyone looking into, because right now we're starting to break out of here. And this is a falling wedge, as you can see. It looks like we're breaking out already. We just need to see more volume, and we need to see a stronger candle to the upside. That will confirm the breakout for us. And I think breaking the all-time high here at 716 will be a matter of when rather than if. So I think this is the second AI coin right behind Near. Oh, no, it's the first one. Yeah, so BitTensor is the #1 AI coin. Near is catching up. $3.4 billion market cap. So these two, Near Protocol and BitTensor, are great assets. Render is a pretty good AI coin as well. Injective is another one that I've held ever since $1.75 or $1.20, I think. And I think this can easily do a 10x from here. This is only a $1.3 billion market cap. We're not going to go too low because we do have some Patreon low caps that we mentioned down there. But Obviously, one of the most popular ones is Destra, sitting at $129 million market cap. This is Alex Becker's #1 AI coin. So he's pushing hard for DSYNC. Ether is another one. This is a good, strong mid-cap coin with $340 million market cap. Filecoin, to be honest, I would stay away from Filecoin. This hasn't done much. I did hold it, but I sold it with minimum profit a long time ago. I have yet to invest in Ondo. This might be the time. I would definitely look into Ondo. It's a safe coin that has lots of potential. Virtuals and Injective. Let's take a look at Injective. Okay, so we dipped into the purple block here that I laid out a long time ago between $10.29 and $7.46. We reached the bottom here, and we even dipped a little bit out of there. So that was a great buying opportunity for anyone looking to get into Injective. I personally already have a bag. I think it's my biggest bag in my portfolio, but I do think this can do a 10x at the very least. So is this a good buying opportunity? I still think this is a fairly good buying opportunity. Obviously, this is not as low as $6. We're already up 111%. So it's not as good of a buying opportunity, but nonetheless, it still is a good buying opportunity. We're just barely breaking past the weekly 20 EMA. The next level of resistance we'll have is going to be somewhere around $18, $19. As you can see, there's a few bounces off of this area here. So there will be some resistance right over there. So if you're looking for a short-term trade, maybe look for that. That's another 33% to the upside or so. Now back to the all-time high, we're looking at 283%. And the weekly RSI is very low. Once the AI coins start running, once the AI narrative picks up again, we're going to see Injective on a massive run. I forgot to mention Nosana. What are your thoughts? Nosana did take quite a bit of a dip, but I'm still holding. So this was 94% correction. So a lot of altcoins actually went through a bear market type correction in the past year or so, and Nosana was one of them. And I think this is our bottoming structure here. We're printing a bullish divergence already. So if you take a look at the bottom here, so we're printing a lower low on the price action chart while we're printing a higher low on the RSI. So that is a good sign. I think this is a sign of a reversal coming into play soon. Obviously, it's in the AI narrative. Obviously, it's on Solana. So those two things are already going to help the price action a lot by their nature. And I think this is a great opportunity to get into a low cap AI coin on Solana. $30 million market cap. So this could easily do anywhere between 10 to 100x. It doesn't have any major centralized exchange listings. I don't think crypto.com is considered major. And the volume is just barely 1.35 million. So again, this is the time to be getting in my opinion. But of course, don't overexpose yourself to low caps. That's not a smart thing to do. What if this goes belly up and you're going to lose your your entire saving. My comments are being deleted. That's weird. Are you maybe you're using some keyword that it flags and just automatically deletes it? Because I'm definitely not deleting them, my friend. Or maybe use some special characters to avoid spelling out some words. Ether seems like a great project, but it's not really moving. Can't wait for that. It has been stagnant. Ether has been stagnant over the past year or so. So we did have this correction from May 55. So I think this was due to a listing. Yeah, I think it was due to a Coinbase listing. The price went up and we had a 55% crash. But we are printing a double bottom here. And again, we are looking at a bullish divergence. The RSI printing a higher low, while the price action is printing a horizontal low, a double bottom pattern essentially. So this is a bullish sign. Let's wait for Ethereum to do its thing, and then we'll see massive, massive gains in our altcoins, hopefully. This is potentially what we've been waiting for, guys, and the bull market that we were looking for is just around the corner. Did you chart XRP? Not yet. We're going to do XRP soon. I'm requesting Superverse. No root or trigger words. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, YouTube is generally weird with their censorship and all their rules. So I apologize on behalf of YouTube for your comments getting deleted. I'm requesting Superverse. Let's take a look at Superverse. Again, this is one of the coins that Alex Becker is bullish on. He's saying this is the best or one of the best gaming coins. And the chart looks great. So we saw a massive move here in 2023 to 2024, 2,000% gain, a correction of 73%, another 500% to the upside, and another 83% correction. So I think our target for the bull market is going to be somewhere around $4.45. If we pull up the CoinMarketCap page here, the market cap is sitting at $500 million. So a 4 to 5x from here would take us to $2 to $2.5 billion. I think that's doable. I definitely think that's doable. So no bullish divergences here, but the price is definitely good. The price action chart is looking amazing. Look at this area here. We kept bouncing off of this as support every single time we landed. So that was in December or January 2024, July 2024, March 2025, and June 2025. So that's a powerful support area. And right now we're bouncing up a little bit. I still think it's a great area to dollar cost average, especially if your average buying price is somewhere above $1.50 or even above $1. You want to bring down your average buying price as much as possible. And then we're going to have a conservative target of $4.4. Then you have $7 here, a little bit higher. And we have 610 million tokens in circulation out of the essentially a billion total supply. Yeah, so I think this is definitely a safe buy. Safe gaming altcoin to get into, safe gaming / DeFi. And another tip is to look into the Swiss franc if you're in the US or maybe Canada, the Swiss franc has been doing great. This is against the Canadian dollar over the past, 17 years, I want to say. So it was November 2007. That was 18 years ago. That was our bottom with the Swiss franc against Canadian dollar, and we've been rising ever since. So from that bottom, we're up 111%. So if you were selling your Canadian dollars into the Swiss franc, you would have at least somehow prevented losing your purchasing power. So that's something that I started doing already, and I'm going to continue buying more Swiss franc or francs. And let's take a look at XRP, and we're probably going to be wrapping up soon. Now, if you want a more detailed update on XRP, just go to my channel, go to my upload feed, and you'll see the last video that we did was exactly on XRP. So if you want a more detailed breakdown of my thoughts, feel free to take a look at that. And there was a comment under this video that I want to react to. So this person is saying, no offense, you're looking at something from a trading mentality. You do not cover what drivers cause price increases, multipliers, or the adoptions of utility. You're of the old speculation crowd and don't care about market drivers. You're simply looking at patterns. Saying it can't get to a certain price without taking these other factors in is simply stupid. Maybe just put your drawings up for people and leave it at that. So this person is essentially saying that based on what he saw in my video, I wasn't using any of the fundamentals. And that is correct. I wasn't using fundamentals to chart out XRP. And I think he got upset because I said $100 is not possible. Usually I don't get negative comments under my videos, and I'm being serious. Like, it's very rarely, and very often of the negative comments that I get, it's from the XRP crowd because of something that I said. So nothing that I say is meant to offend anyone or, make someone look bad or say that the project isn't going to do well. But if you're saying that XRP and market cap can, surpass Bitcoin, I don't need to know XRP's fundamentals to say that XRP is not going to surpass Bitcoin in market cap. It's not going to surpass Ethereum in market cap, right? Even if what you're saying is true, even if the fundamentals are so good, it's not going to happen within the next year. We were looking within the scope of the current bull market. I do not see XRP going to triple digits in this cycle. No matter how much fundamental analysis you try to add, none of it will get me to the conclusion that XRP can get to $400 or $1,000. Some people are saying XRP is going to be $1,000. I mean, this is insane. So, let's say the best case scenario for XRP plays out. Let's say everyone starts buying XRP. Everyone, including your grandma and my grandma, starts buying XRP. I do not see XRP surpassing Ethereum or Bitcoin in market cap. I would say the very best case scenario is going to be $11 for XRP in this cycle. Of course, I cannot see the future, okay? And this is the first time we're starting to, we just broke the all-time high from 2017. So we're getting into that uncharted territory. The monthly RSI is in the overbought. And if I take a look at the weekly, the weekly is slowly getting into the overbought. That doesn't mean you have to sell immediately at the moment. But these are the targets that I have based on the fib. So we have $4.14 and then $7.60. So the conservative target would be, you know, $5 to $7.6. And, you know, credit where it's due, XRP did hold its own very well through this correction. It was only a 52% correction, and from there we bounced up like a boss. So if this was a short to midterm trade that you were trying to do, then congratulations. You know, you've done a 2x essentially. And congratulations to all the XRP holders. You know, if you've been holding throughout the bear market, we were doing TA updates on XRP throughout the bear market. We were telling everyone now is the time to be buying. If you're looking to, you know, sell at $3, $4, $5, you were supposed to be buying down here at 35 cents, at 40 cents, etc. So if you were doing that and you held through this entire correction in 2025, congratulations. You know, pay yourself, take out the initial investment, do whatever you want to. But if you're holding with expectation of seeing $25 to $50 in this cycle, that is not going to happen. Those XRP fanatics are a little crazy. Yeah, I missed out on buying XRP at $3. Hopefully it goes down to that level. Yeah, I would say getting into XRP at the moment is not the best decision because it's already in the overbought on both weekly and monthly charts, and it has seen quite a move from the bottom in 2022. So, you know, it did a 11x already. So I would say you're not going to be looking at much profit if you're buying into XRP. I would say Cardano at the moment has more profit potential than XRP. So Cardano, the number 10 at the moment, $28.8 billion market cap. I think this has more profit potential. You know, we could get back up to $3, I think, by the end of the cycle. Cardano is one of the coins that in the top 10 that I think are going to outperform XRP in terms of percentage gains. Okay, so yeah, if you're looking to buy into Ethereum, I would say wait until we have a retracement back to the 20 EMA on the weekly chart, and that is currently going to be $2.36. I just checked on Kraken. D-Bridge is not listed on that exchange, USD nor USDT. So yeah, that's weird. Feel free to reach out to the customer support they have and inquire about that, because I do not use Kraken, so I can't really help you out there. But that was my best guesstimate as to what the crux of the issue is that you were supposed to use the USD pair, not USDT. But make sure to reach out to customer support, or maybe try to check on YouTube if there's anyone facing a similar issue. Definitely don't click any random links, because, you know, out of nowhere you can get a random link in a comment or somewhere saying, hey, this is the link to the pair. That's how you end up losing your money. So be careful, guys. I've lost money that way, a significant amount of that too. So I was taught the hard way. Learn my lessons the hard way. Okay, so that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all for joining, guys. Let me know again, what are your expectations from Bitcoin by the end of the cycle? Hopefully you learned something useful in the live stream. Hopefully you have bought in during the past dip. Hopefully you have been buying in throughout the past few years, and hopefully you're bringing down those average buy-in prices. And I'll see you at the top of the cycle here in a few months, hopefully. Thanks, Zeke. I appreciate your advice. No worries, my friend. Always pleasure. And we'll have another live stream tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. Stay safe and goodbye.